Over the years, marketers have been analyzing the different generations: baby boomers, Gen X, millennials. And recently we have seen there's a red thread among all of them: speed. They all want everything to happen now. My name is Francisco Serrano, and I am the Chief Speed Officer at One-to-One and the host of the Now Gen podcast. Join me. Each episode, we talk about what's happening with brands, see how brand professionals across different industries cope with this fast-changing market, and live up to the expectation of this now generation. Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by One-to-One, the fastest day-to-day design and content studio. For more than 17 years, One-to-One has been their premier partner for many Fortune 500 companies, proving that tight deadlines shouldn't be a hassle.
Hey, hello, and welcome again to the Now Gen podcast. On this episode, we'll talk about how we consume video in the digital realm. So what all the platforms got to, when they got together and say, how are we going to communicate with all this audience, and they introduce video, and what's the perspective on how to use it, when to use it for all these wonderful brands that are in our day-to-day lives. And for this, I have a very special guest today. His name is Char Alfonzo. He's the VP Global Creative Director of Fresh. He's not only a creative director, he's also a filmmaker. So that gives a push to all this conversation we're going to have. He has a lot of experience in 360 campaigns across different media, print, social, editorial, events, and visual merchandising. So the work. So his perspective is going to bring a lot of knowledge into this conversation. Char, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Francisco.
No, thank you for being here. I mean, we were offline talking about, the now gen and what's going on with this generation. But first, tell us a little bit about you and what are you doing currently at Fresh?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Venezuela. I lived half my life in the US already. I grew up watching MTV until late at night, reading fashion magazines and music magazines as well. So ID, The Face, Spin, all of this form my kind of graphic design mind. I started becoming obsessed with nightlife as well, and pop culture. Pop culture is a big aspect for how I see work. I got a BFA in communication design at Parsons, and then I started experimenting with video. Coming in with music videos was the kind of the bug that really made me want to explore it. So I started shooting fashion films, music videos. I started shooting backstage for Fashion Week for fashion magazines. I worked at agencies. I worked in-house as a strategist and a creative, MAC Cosmetics, Smashbox, Glamglow. And I'm fascinated by the internet. I don't know where my life will be if I didn't sign up for MySpace back in 2003, to be honest with you.
I know.
And now, and now I'm fascinated by TikTok. I think it's one of the most creative platforms that we have right now. It's really exciting. So it's been this mix of graphic design, music, marketing, pop culture, social, that kind of has shaped my my creative brain, and it's made me the creator that I am today.
Great. Yeah. And all that background leads up to what you're doing at Fresh, which is what is the main activity that a creative director like you does at Fresh? Like, you mix the ingredients, or what is it that you do?
Product development. I'll leave that to the chemist. But I'm more of the creative guy. Let's just say that I lead the team into thinking 360. So how do we tell beautiful stories? How do we engage with consumers? How do we tell all of the DNA of the brand And it's Fresh is a beautiful brand, and we have beautiful stories to tell. So that's kind of what we're doing here, just beautiful storytelling. And beautiful is a really funny word for me, but let's say impactful.
Yeah, and I was looking at researching your brand. I mean, what you do right now at Fresh, it's a powerful company. I mean, you're all over the United States,
Correct.
you're just hitting up right with all the big guys and the big brands. And how do you implement the storytelling in your position? So how do you like, because I saw a lot of hands and nature
Yes.
and earth and all that, but tell us a little bit about your how do you convey a message using video to engage the audience?
Yeah, you mentioned a few really good elements for Fresh, right? So you mentioned a planet, right? So the planet is a pretty big deal for Fresh. That's kind of where our ingredients come from, also people, right? Skin, the connection between the human and the planet. Fresh has beautiful, sustainable efforts on not just how we extract our ingredients, but how we respectfully do it, and how we ensure that the local communities that we work with are also part of that, right? We treat them the same way we treat planet. So telling these stories around our ingredients and how Fresh is it's good, it's high quality ingredients, and using sensoriality, right, to really drive that efficacy. So that's kind of what the secret sauce is for Fresh. Is sensoriality meets efficacy. Let's put it that way. Highly performative products with the best ingredients.
And how do you the challenge we as marketers have and brands have is that the audience across all generations, from baby boomers to Gen X, Gen Y, Z, whatever, it's the
Yeah.
instant gratification. They want everything to happen now, and to convey that nature and that message of sustainability and in short videos or to people that have short attention spans.
Yeah.
How do you come about that?
Well, we have everything. We literally do almost, right? If you want to get somewhere, you get an Uber. If you want your Starbucks coffee to be ready by the time you show up, you can also do that too. So we
Yeah.
live in, right? It's like we live in the most convenient times, and if it's not really readily available for people, then it's not worthwhile for this generation, no? So traditional marketing might catch people attentions, but you know we might graduate a few people into services and products and help them make a one-time buy, but the real victory is when you have returning prospects into becoming lifestyle users. So the role of creative, I think, is to ensure people see brands more like facilitators, a little bit like friends. So we cannot do the operational part of facilitating things for consumers, but we can come across as not just come across, but just really send the message to consumers that we're listening. So having foresight ahead of time of what consumers really want to see, and connect with and have that connection with them as we're listening, and always make sure that we're working on campaigns that are consumer-centric, that places that emphasis on their needs and desires and aspirations, and bringing solutions to their problems and needs. So whether that is skin dehydration or I don't know, or acne, or reducing visible pores, which is kind of my world. Millennials and Gen Z are just far too smart right now. Claims and benefits are just, they're not fooled by them. So predicting the information they're going after is really where the secret sauce is.
Yeah, and now that you're talking about the generations taking more care about what baby boomers did back in the day, is that now the skin is the important portion of it. It's not the the lady skin is just the skin in general, right? Kids, teens, girls, boys, and now with the old inclusive things coming in the market, it's also, so the market has grown, right, for brands like Fresh. And does that impact in any shape or form your creative? So it's like, oh wait, we need to include more different segments, because if not, then does that influence the way you communicate now?
Well, I mean, think about this now. Like, beauty has had a boom for a very long time, right? And the consumer kind of behavior and psychology is constantly shifting and changing, and they're reacting to different needs and aspirations constantly. So especially in the luxury landscape where I'm kind of sitting at, here at Fresh, the less financially secure consumers aspire to own luxury, right? In a way to just bring status and self-worth. But I think that's changing, and especially after COVID-19, I think people took a look inward, and they started taking care of themselves. So a lot of this changed, the way how people want to elevate their quality of life rather than their social status. So brands are right now trying to make the consumer's life rich and more fulfilled. And beauty does a really good job at that, right? It's about pampering. That was the whole COVID-19, right? People couldn't go anywhere, so people were masking up and beyond the actual mask. So taking care of yourself, it's now the ultimate luxury now, and it's affordable and it's available for everybody. So a brand like Fresh, that it's we're a brand of indulgence, and we can take this in the two different ways. It's also the indulgence of using the product, right, and also the taking the time how we craft them as well. We take time to do what we do here, and so we don't work with stock formulas. We make everything from scratch every time, because that sensorial experience is literally catered to every single product that is created here. We work with the best quality ingredients that are available and found around the world. Safety takes time to make safe products. So my focus on Fresh, again, is that connection between sensoriality and efficacy. And I think using sensoriality as a form of communication, now that people want to take care of themselves. So the aspirations and desires always rooted in trends usually, but we don't follow trends here. So I try to see it from that kind of lens.
Great. And what I see in your background, I hope that is not your living room. I hope that is the office.
I know, I live in an apothecary.
Yeah, it's like, my God, what is that? But the message that conveys that, it's that of that whatever I'm putting, it's thought through, and it's not gonna create a long-term damage to my skin. So that portion of it, it's getting the message across. The next step would be to how to convey it through video. And before we jump into asking questions about what are others doing in several media, your competitors, I want to talk about specifically competitors, and now the trend of having this craft. Everybody can do cosmetics now. They're like, they put this and that and boom, and fashion. And does that like damage or they are polluting the channel, the industry, or how do you see them?
Well, we can look at this in different ways. I think that equality always trumps, and you can have people, and again, like I was saying, consumers are smart at the end of the day. And yes, you see a lot of consumers following the celebrity skincare trend, right? Where you have celebrities just picking a stock formula, picking a stock color, slapping a logo on it with their name on it, and just put it on shelves. At the end of the day, this is why it's important for me is to ensure that we are conveying that message that I told you before, right? That we use the best, and taking time, especially safety, and the skin is the largest organ of our body, so anything basically that we put, we're ingesting it kind of in a way, so communicating consumers that we use the best will really resonate with them. Telling beautiful stories about how we, I'll give you an example, right? So we have a rose collection and we use damask rose. We selected out of 200 roses. So it took time to really arrive to that. And just specifically, so it goes on the deeper layers on your skin. So your skin generates the hyaluronic acid that your skin already does. So rather than just adding hyaluronic acid to it. So, all of these buzz ingredients that you see out there, hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, we find, and we do use hyaluronic acid, but it's just, how do we use it in a way that it's more natural and using also ethically sourced ingredients?
Yeah, and coming to that, one day I was talking to a nutritionist and a functional medicine doctor, and he was saying that diseases not only are motivated through the mouth, but also through the skin. So you need to be able to take care. Oh, it's shampoo from whatever. You use it and it has it's not going to damage me. Only that I eat. And yeah, what you're saying, it aligns to that completely. And coming back to the generation, I have a daughter. She's 18. Oh my God, expensive. Expensive as hell, I can tell you, because not only the skincare, but also the nails, the hair, the blah blah blah. She's, like you were saying, beauty's
fun.
Yeah. So when she picks out, I mean, she can walk from the north to the south to go to a place to buy the whatever, I don't remember the name of the makeup cover or whatever, from a certain brand. So I think what you were saying, that, taking the second trip to the cash register, that's what you're looking for, longevity, and trying to make sure that the clients are faithful to your brands and keep with that quality, right? So how to connect with them? Because my daughter, she's a fan of TikTok, and she's like all the time in TikTok. Are you guys in TikTok?
Oh yes, we are.
And why?
Yes, we are.
So how do you generate all that stories, and how do you craft the messages, short stories, to keep that 19-year-old girl without going like this and saying, oh my God, that type of thing?
I mean, remember the days that we used to say digital first?
Yes, I know.
That seems like the past now. I mean, we live in an entertainment first world now, and brands now are turning into entertainment platforms. I think the future is going to be kind of like that. I think the brands will turn into little tiny Netflix, little tiny Hulus, just kind of entertaining consumers on what their product delivers, really expanding that universe and the lifestyle that they're trying to push. And especially, your daughter, you said she's 18, right?
Yeah.
So, this generation really cares about what brands' values are and what their missions are, what they stand for. And we're not shy about it. We don't have to be shy about it. We should not be shy about it. We should tell people all of the stories about how I told you earlier, right? How we source ingredients ethically. All of this matters to Gen Z. It matters to millennials as well. So, in terms of content, I'll tell you the interesting thing, that we have come to find out from our TikTok channel. We had it for less than a year now, a couple of years actually, since the pandemic. And what we come to find out is that consumers are more interested in us. They want to know more about our employees. They want to know much more about who we are. And TikTok is completely interesting because people are interested about very specific employees. So everybody is like, we have Mike here from Human Resources. Mike is a very good looking guy. So a lot of people on TikTok want to know his skincare routine. And, this is the interesting thing about TikTok, no? before we had beauty influencers, coming onto YouTube, telling you how a product performs, telling you how it feels, telling you why they like it. It's different now. I mean, I'm on TikTok. I'm obsessed with TikTok. So I'm on TikTok all day long, and I see people that are gardeners, and I'm telling you, random occupations, and the first comments usually are, "I love your skin. What products are you using?" Or someone says, "I love your your lipstick color. Where did you get that?" Or beyond beauty, I have always the comment. People are obsessed with shorts. I don't know why. I think because everybody's into fitness now. People are asking, "Where did you get your shorts?" So it's a really interesting world. We are all the future entertainers. We are all the future influencers. We live in a world where we're moving into micro influencing. I think I don't think we're ready. I don't think we're ready to see how grandmas will be influencing us on recipes and on ingredients. The world is shifting, and shifting fast.
Yeah, and like you say, now every one of us should be a creative director of our own brand, right? To create that storytelling, and that, because now you have just this one device that you can have access to the rest of the world. But coming back to the brands, do you feel, or do you recommend, or how do you guys do it at Fresh? Do you have like a production company in house, or do you buy special things to make sure that is on task, script writing and all that, or you subcontract that, or you how do you manage that?
For TikTok specifically?
Yeah, in general, video.
Also in general.
Yeah,
I mean, it depends on the level of content we're talking about. No, so if it's branded content, that usually comes from the creative team. Obviously, working along with marketing, obviously, but we work with external production companies. We just come up with what that concept is. So then we just roll out campaigns. Then you get different levels after that, right? Then you have your hybrid content, which is slightly branded, but you bring relatability by working with influencers. So that's, which is a little bit back to TikTok, right? Where brands are relying more on content creators now to really facilitate that speed that is necessary right now to constantly be engaging with consumers. And then you have your what I consider your third tier, right? This is a little bit where us at creative take a little bit of a step back. We just create very tight guidelines on how influencers can come in and play with the brand, participate in the conversation, but still keeping a little bit of that universe, so everything kind of looks and feels fresh.
Yeah, and yeah, and to your point, how do you come up with video ads that are fresh for TikTok? Or do you copy paste and just change the format for Instagram? And do you change it for YouTube, or you develop per channel depending on the need? How does that work?
It's per channel, right? And here I can tell it from skincare, which is kind of what which is what I'm doing here at Fresh. So if you think about it from different channels, YouTube usually for makeup, cosmetics, that's your educational kind of touch point. This is where consumers can come in and really understand how to use a product, learning all of the aspects of it, the benefits. You can have influencers that really walk you through that experience from a very relatable POV, and then you have Instagram, Instagram is where the brands can actually, because it's such a visual platform, so you can still maintain a certain level of polish in a way. You can show all the beautiful things that you shoot. And then you have TikTok, which is much more reactive, raw, a little more real, entertaining. So for what we think of TikTok is, it's a little bit closer to YouTube in the sense that you can still do what you do on YouTube and you can still entertain consumers and still educate them. I think the secret sauce for TikTok is having consumers laugh and learn with you, right? So infotainment is a big aspect for this, and I think having people laugh and walk out of watching a video and say, "Wow, I understand what niacinamide does," or now I know, how strengthening the skin barrier helps my skin, stay moisture. So it's all of these different channels have their own kind of purpose, no? So that's kind of how we think about it.
Yeah, and the way that what I've seen with other brands is that the more they relate to what they are looking at, and the more engagement they have. Before, you used to see the supermodel and that was not relatable that much. And in TikTok, you see the pimple guy there, and boom, and then you say, yeah, I'm that guy. I need to get rid of this, and you trust the guy and you use that, whatever it is he's using, and you just engage, right? And and does video, Char, is a converter in your e-com platforms? Do you have do you feel like, whoa, yes, okay, boom, buy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I can tell you, I mean, we do it here on brand.com, on fresh.com. I worked at Mac, and we did it at Mac. Every skincare brand uses our product page it's our POS, right? That's a point of purchase for us. That's the point of conversion for consumers. So this is the same videos that you will use for YouTube, you will have them on your product page, right? Because you're in the branded space, and you want to pull consumers out of that control environment to bring in relatability. So this is where you will have your relatable face tell you how the product performs. You can use the same content that you use on TikTok, depending on your brand, right? If you want to be a little bit more fun on how the product works. So it depends, no? It depends on it depends on the brand, it depends on the approach, but you wanna bring a little bit of the real into this point of purchase, because you want it to almost feel like a review, and that's what people wanted. They want to see what it brings to them, and they want to hear from someone that looks like them.
I know it's
supermodels don't cut anymore.
I know, yeah. And even, Hanes, I remember as a consumer, that was that brand was the first one to really, hey, it doesn't matter if you have volume in your body. You don't have to be the perfect, body to wear these. Be proud of what you have. And so that like kept traction. And now it's, wow, you see mannequins in stores that are not the typical reality. So that is like a trend that is not going away, and it's just connecting with the different sorts of consumers. And so Char, if
and you bring up a good point, actually, because more than half of consumers, and this is studies that I read, more than half of consumers connect with diverse talent, and talent meaning the people that they see on the screen. People are picky about who they want to see now. They want to see diverse skin tones, diverse body positivity, skin positivity. It shows that it makes people happier, which is a really interesting kind of take on it. So consumers don't just want raw consumer content that feels real, that is relatable. People also want to see themselves. They want to see a mirror in their mobile devices, and in the mobile devices, it's really where 60% of consumers are really interacting with. They're using their mobile platform. So people really want to see just beyond themselves. They want to see people from diverse backgrounds really walk them through different experiences.
Really? That's a trend that you've seen in studies and all that?
Correct.
Well, that shows that the consumer is a never-ending maze that you don't know how to treat, and like
Yeah.
many others in your seats have said to me, is that you always need to understand your consumer and develop
Yeah.
communication and connection with your brand. So,
Correct.
and I wanted to ask you, since we're coming almost to the end of our interview, um, what is the one thing that you want, the takeaway, the key takeaway from your experience in this interview, that all the listeners can take and use them, because I don't know, maybe they have a brand, a storefront in,
Mhm.
I don't know, in New York, or they have a marmalade brand in the
Yeah.
Southeast, right? So what would you recommend as a best practice and as a takeaway of this interview?
Sure. I mean, um, the word beautiful, I always struggle with it, no? And I think most creative directors do, because beauty is subjective, and sometimes we're so excited about something, we're like, oh my God, this is gonna be incredible. And then you show it to either a client, or you show or you show it to the stakeholders, and then they don't think it is.
Yeah. Yep.
So it varies from people to people. So impactful, I think it's a different kind of much more effective word to use for this. But I think that when we think about videos, we should consider a few things. We consume video fast right now, and that's pretty obvious to us. It's just not the speed that is being outputted. It's also the way we're editing video as well. I don't know if you've been trying to watch a movie from the 50s and 60s and tell me how long you
Yeah.
start getting bored now.
Yeah. It's like, stand up, take the drink, and go.
Exactly.
You don't have to like slow motion. And yeah, I know, I get you.
Exactly. So, nearly over half of consumers now are using video to really get their information. They want to know how things work. They want to know how how services or products perform. So, we know that video is important. So, I mean, my first advice is just give in. It's imminent. You have to adapt, no? And then second, just keep it short. I mean, we know this, right? We remember the days on printed advertising when marketers used to tell you have 6 seconds to get people's attention. So now you have best practices telling you better put branding and show product within the first 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's already telling you how much shorter we're getting. And going back to the watching all movies, just cut it choppier, cut it more dynamic, make people want to continue watching, drive their eyes around when you're editing the video. Drawn out video, just make people just swipe up and continue watching the next thing. So and last, the true word to make beautiful things is simple. No, so I think of the Got Milk ads, back in the 90s, the Think Small ads from Volkswagen in the 60s. The minimal approach to visual storytelling is not only powerful, but it's also memorable. So I always say that if you have 6 seconds on a paid piece of media, you only have one message to deliver in those 6 seconds. You don't have to, try to fit Russian into Manhattan, I would say. So,
Yeah.
so I guess what I'm trying to say is that Francisco, the rules are the same, right? It's the same way that we've been approaching advertising for a very long time. The difference now is that the message and the visual needs to just be more digestible for people. Our brains are on overdrive, not just from going on TikTok, but you even let your phone sit down in notifications and the news, and it's a lot. So come from a place of entertainment. Escapism is huge right now. People want to just get away. People just want to break from a reality for a second, and which takes me into the future with, we were obsessed with, keeping up with the Kardashians and the real world and Big Brother, and now with VR and AR, I think that we're going to be entering a world of hyper realism. Our avatars are going to be our new alter egos. Brands are going to be creating, maybe we create a spot where people can come in and understand how products are being used. The future is exciting. We just need to offer people a little break in the way how we approach ads. People don't want to be, shoved down with information. People want it digestible. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice.
Great. That was deep. That was deep. Because, because you took me from, the ad of the 60s all the way to the metaverse and the spa with, Fresh doing my skulls on
pop culture.
I know, that's good. Yeah. I mean, but I agree. What you said, I completely agree, right? It's simple. Keep it simple. It's just sometimes we're just try to, the brief, we have to pick up the brief. Yeah.
Exactly. We had to distill it, in a way, and find, how do we masticate this for, and I hate using the word masticate, but how do we masticate the information down in a way that just feels simple and straightforward, taglines, get straight to the point, solve that problem for the consumer. Don't tell them how you're doing it. They don't care about that. Just tell them that you have their back. That's really all they care about. We've been listening. That's all they want to hear.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that takeaway, listeners.
Of course.
I'm sure they're gonna, because sometimes we need oxygen to keep the burst of the day-to-day challenges going, right? So thank you for that, Char. And now let's move to the final section of the podcast. And how does a rock star like you, what is the brand that you cheer for in the streaming world? What's your top streaming brand and why?
Top streaming platform?
Streaming platform, yeah.
Gotcha. Listen, I think it's a combination of a couple of different things, and there's something really important for me is that we sell premium products. Our moisturizers are on a higher price than the ones that you will find at CVS or Duane Reade, no? Yeah. So we have to do a little bit of extra work on telling consumers where they're spending $40, $60 on. So I think that, and also I had to keep a premium look for the brand. So that's where I rely on Instagram, and Instagram is having this little dance between being TikTok and trying to stay Instagram. So keeping that platform, keeping Instagram to be your beautiful elevated content, using Reels, right, to migrate some of the same content that you will use on TikTok. And TikTok, Francisco, TikTok is the future. TikTok, and not just TikTok, just entertainment platforms have to bring consumers into their world, what their personality is. People want to really have a see through a peephole on how brands think, how what their missions and their values are, and telling them in a way that they can understand it, and then they can laugh and learn. So these are my two priority platforms for me. And yes, YouTube it's also incredible for your education, but I think that to have true connection with consumers, I think TikTok is really where it's at. Great.
Thank you so much for that. It's impressive what that TikTok has revolutionized the way we communicate and get entertained. Right. I agree.
And it was a children dancing app.
I know.
Look where we're at,
but it just evolved.
It was COVID.
You know, and I have friends that, you know, and for the Gen Z, Gen X, and some baby boomers, what is TikTok? And I say, I bet you, give them 2 hours, and you will not be away from the TikTok ever. And it's not
Yeah.
it's not just dancing, like you say. It's much more. It's
No.
difficult to explain. It's, you know,
It's a
and
little for everybody.
it's
It's
a
a little
little.
bit for everything. You know, I even try to convince. I converted my dad into TikTok, and I was
I
telling him,
know.
he's like, talk to me about TikTok. You're always putting TikTok on your work, and so I explained to him. He's like, that's just for kids dancing. I said, no, it's not. Now he's watching all of the astronomy,
Yeah, I know. And he's like,
astrophysics things.
hey,
He's
at
obsessed
4
with
a.m. in the morning,
it.
you know, trying to catch
Exactly.
up with all the news in the world. Well, thank you. Thank you
Correct.
for sharing that. And thank you for this time. We've been
Thank
talking
you.
to Char Alfonso, VP Global Creative Director, Fresh. Char, where can people reach you at?
You can reach me on Instagram.
Instagram, of course.
Char Alfonso.
Okay, Char Alfonso.
Yes. And Francisco, thank you so much for the opportunity. This was fun.
No, I just enjoyed it very much. Thank you for that. Okay, Char. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. If you want to learn more about what's going on with the now generation and what are the challenges for this excellent performers and marketers, do not lose the next episode and connect to the Now Gen podcast. Thank you so much.